What happens when destiny chooses the discarded? For Sarah Whitmore, life as an Omega in the Silvercrest pack meant invisibility. 23 years of keeping her head down, her voice soft, her presence small. She scrubbed floors in the pack house while others trained. She served meals while others feasted. She accepted the hierarchy as absolute truth. Alpha, Beta, Omega, a divine order blessed by the moon goddess herself. But when Alpha Darius Kane stood before the entire pack during the Harvest Moon ceremony and rejected her as his fated mate in front of 300 witnesses, severing their bond with a ceremonial blade across his palm, while her knees buckled from the spiritual agony, everything changed. And what happens next? No one was prepared for, because Sarah Whitmore wasn't just an Omega. She was something the ancient prophecies had whispered about for 1,000 years. And her rejection? That wasn't her ending. It was her awakening. The harvest moon hung fat and golden over Silvercrest territory, painting the ceremonial grounds in amber light. Sarah stood at the edge of the gathering, as always, her worn dress a dull gray among the vibrant colors of higher-ranked wolves. The scent of roasted meat and honey wine hung in the air, mixing with pine and earth and the collective energy of 300 shifters celebrating the season's bounty. She shouldn't have come. But when the Alpha commands attendance, even Omegas obey. "All pack members present," the Beta's voice carried across the clearing. Marcus Thorne, second in command, his scent of leather and tobacco cutting through the celebration. "Our Alpha will address us." The crowd fell silent as Darius Kane stepped onto the raised platform. 28 years old, powerfully built, his dark hair catching moonlight. His scent, forest and embers, ozone and steel, rolled over the gathering like a physical force. Every unmated female in the pack had dreamed of being chosen by him. Sarah's wolf stirred inside her, a flutter in her chest that felt like wings trying to break free. She pushed the feeling down, as she always did. Omegas didn't have strong wolves. The hierarchy was clear. "Tonight," Darius began, his voice commanding, "we honor the moon goddess and celebrate her gifts. Our pack grows stronger each year. Our territory expands. Our enemies cower at our borders." Cheers erupted. Sarah remained quiet, her hands clasped in front of her. "And tonight," Darius continued, his amber eyes scanning the crowd, "I will acknowledge what the goddess has ordained." Sarah's heart began to pound. No, it couldn't be. "The goddess has chosen my fated mate." The crowd buzzed with excitement. Every unmated female straightened, hope radiating from them in waves of jasmine and vanilla and desperate anticipation. Darius's eyes locked onto Sarah. The bond between them, dormant until this moment, blazed to life like a rope of fire connecting their souls. She gasped, staggering, as recognition slammed into her. The scent of lavender and morning dew and wildflowers, her scent, suddenly intensified, marking her for everyone to smell. "No," someone whispered. "The Omega?" another hissed. Darius's jaw tightened. He stepped down from the platform, the crowd parting before him, and walked directly to Sarah. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The bond sang between them, beautiful and terrible, pulling her toward him. He stopped 3 feet away, towering over her. This close, his scent was overwhelming. Not comforting, but suffocating. Wrong. "Sarah Whitmore," he said, his voice flat, cold. "Alpha," she whispered, bowing her head. "Look at me." She raised her eyes to his. What she saw there made her blood turn to ice. Disgust, anger, and underneath it all, crushing disappointment. "The moon goddess," Darius announced, his voice carrying to every witness, "has played a cruel joke. She has bound me to an Omega, the weakest among us, A wolf barely worthy of the name. Sarah's hands trembled. "Alpha, please! Silence!" His command hit her like a physical blow, forcing her wolf into submission. "Did I give you permission to speak?" Tears burned her eyes. But she blinked them back. 300 pairs of eyes watched, judged. The scent of their collective schadenfreude, bitter coffee and burnt sugar, filled her nose. Darius pulled a ceremonial blade from his belt. Silver, etched with runes, blessed by the pack's elders. "By the laws of Silvercrest, by my authority as Alpha, and by my right as a dominant wolf, I reject this bond." "No," Sarah breathed. "Please, you don't understand." "I reject you, Sarah Whitmore." He sliced the blade across his palm, blood welling dark and red. "I sever this tie. I deny the goddess's choice. I choose power over weakness, strength over burden." The bond between them, so newly formed, shattered. Sarah screamed. It felt like her soul was being torn in half. Claws of agony ripped through her chest, her mind, every nerve ending igniting in white-hot pain. She collapsed to her knees, unable to support her own weight, as the mystical connection splintered into 1,000 cutting shards. "Remove her!" Darius ordered, his voice distant through the roaring in her ears. Hands grabbed her arms. Pack guards, their sense of sweat and duty and discomfort, dragged her to her feet. Her legs wouldn't work. The world tilted and spun. "Please," she gasped, looking not at Darius but at the crowd. At faces she'd known her entire life. At wolves she'd served, cleaned for, cooked for. Someone. No one met her eyes. They turned away, one by one, declaring their loyalty to their Alpha in the oldest way possible, by abandoning her. "Beyond our borders by dawn," Darius commanded. "If she's found within Silvercrest territory after sunrise, she'll be executed as a rogue." The guards dragged her away. Behind her, she heard a female voice, smooth as honey and sharp as poison. "Well done, Alpha. You've made the right choice." Vivienne Cross, the Beta's daughter, her scent of cinnamon and iron and blood almost gleeful. "Now you can choose a mate worthy of your status." "Throw her out with nothing," the Beta added. "She's earned no mercy." They took her to the northern border, the edge of Silvercrest territory, where the safe lands ended and the wilderness began. October in the mountains meant early snowfall, and clouds had moved in to hide the moon. The temperature was dropping fast. The guards released her at the boundary stones. One of them, younger, looked uncomfortable. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "Just following orders," another said, not sounding sorry at all. They shifted into their wolves and ran back toward the pack house, toward warmth and safety and belonging, leaving Sarah alone in the dark. She tried to stand, but her body wouldn't obey. The severed bond burned in her chest like a wound that wouldn't heal. Every breath hurt. Every heartbeat sent fresh waves of agony through her system. She crawled forward, away from Silvercrest, away from everything she'd ever known. The trees here were twisted and old, their branches like skeletal fingers against the darkening sky. Snow began to fall, light at first, then heavier. She thought of her parents, Jacob and Miriam Whitmore, both Omegas themselves, both so afraid of everything. She'd gone to them before the ceremony, sensing something was wrong. Her mother had looked away. Her father had said, "Whatever happens, Sarah, you accept it. That's our place." They'd known. They'd known Darius would reject her. And they'd sent her to face it anyway. The betrayal cut almost as deep as the severed bond. Sarah's vision blurred. From tears or exhaustion or blood loss, the rejection caused physical wounds, invisible but real. She didn't know. Her wolf, that weak flicker in her chest, had gone completely silent. Maybe it had died with the bond. Maybe she was dying too. The snow fell harder, quickly covering the ground in white. Sarah's gray dress provided no warmth. Her body began to shake, violent tremors she couldn't control. She spotted something ahead, a dark shape against the white. An old barn, half collapsed, its roof mostly intact. Shelter. She could make it. She had to make it. It took everything she had to crawl those final 50 yards. Her hands went numb. Her lips turned blue. But she made it through the broken door and collapsed on the dirt floor, hay and rot and mouse droppings mixing with the smell of her own despair. The storm raged outside. Wind howled through the gaps in the walls, carrying snow that settled on her skin like funeral shrouds. Her body stopped shivering, not because she was warming up, but because she was shutting down. "This is it," she whispered to the empty barn. Her voice sounded hollow, far away. This is how it ends. She'd always wondered what her last thoughts would be. She'd imagined dying old and peaceful, maybe, surrounded by pups she'd helped raise, or dying nobly, saving someone. She never imagined dying alone, rejected, abandoned, and frozen in a rotten barn. Her eyes closed. The cold became distant, almost comfortable. The last thing she felt before darkness took her was a strange warmth against her side, as if someone had covered her with a heated blanket. And then, nothing. Sarah opened her eyes to fur, massive gray fur, warm and thick, pressed against her face. She jerked back, or tried to. Her body was stiff, every muscle screaming in protest, but she was warm, actually warm for the first time since. She looked around and froze. Wolves surrounded her. Not normal wolves. These were huge, each one easily twice the size of any shifter wolf she'd ever seen. They lay in a circle around her, their bodies pressed close, their shared heat creating a pocket of warmth in the freezing barn. She counted them, her heart pounding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 massive wolves. Their fur ranging from silver to black to russet. Their eyes glowing in the dim pre-dawn light filtering through the walls. They'd protected her. While she'd been unconscious, dying, they'd surrounded her and kept her alive. "Who?" Her voice came out as a croak. She tried again. "Who are you?" The largest wolf, the one whose fur she'd woken against, raised his head. His coat was so dark it absorbed light, and his eyes were an impossible shade of blue. Not normal wolf blue, but electric, glowing, ancient. His scent wrapped around her, aged oak and winter snow, pine and storm, something wild and vast and utterly safe. He shifted. The transformation was unlike anything Sarah had ever witnessed. Where pack wolves shifted in a blur of pain and popping joints, this wolf's change flowed like water. Bones realigned smoothly, fur receding to reveal tanned skin, the massive form condensing into a man. He was tall, powerfully built, his body carved with scars that spoke of countless battles. His hair was the same midnight black as his fur, falling to his shoulders. He looked to be in his early 40s, though his eyes held the weight of centuries. And he knelt before her, this massive warrior, and bowed his head. "We've been waiting for you," he said, his voice like distant thunder, deep, reverent. "Matriarch." Sarah's breath caught. I'm just an Omega. I'm nobody." The man's lips curved into a small smile. "You are Sarah Whitmore, daughter of wolves who loved you enough to bind your power, even as it nearly destroyed them. You are the fulfillment of the prophecy of the Silver Dawn, and you, little one, are the reason we 10 have walked this earth for 400 years, waiting." "That's impossible," Sarah whispered. "Is it?" He gestured to his companions, who were now shifting as well, each transformation as smooth and controlled as his had been. 9 more warriors appeared, male and female, each bearing scars and eyes that held too much knowledge. We are the Sentinels, the last of the old guard, sworn to the moon goddess herself when the ancient packs still walked between worlds. A woman stepped forward, her auburn hair braided down her back, her scent of sage and starlight washing over Sarah. "We've been searching," she said gently, "following whispers and dreams and signs from the goddess. For 4 centuries, we've hunted for the matriarch." "Why?" Sarah's mind reeled. Nothing made sense. She was an Omega, the lowest rank. She had no power, no special destiny. The dark-haired man, the leader, met her eyes. "Because when you were born, your wolf was too powerful. It would have killed you if it had awakened naturally. So your parents, advised by a wise woman who knew the old ways, bound it, locked it away with blood magic and sacrifice." Sarah shook her head, but pieces were clicking into place. Her mother's fear, her father's strange protective rituals when she was young, the way they'd both aged faster than other Omegas, as if something was draining them. "The binding was meant to hold until you came of age," the woman continued, "until you were strong enough to contain your wolf safely. But something happened, didn't it? Something broke the binding. The severed bond, the rejection, the shattering agony that had torn through her soul." "Yes," the leader said, reading her face. "Your alpha didn't just reject his mate, he shattered an ancient seal. And now, Sarah Whitmore, your true wolf is waking." As if summoned by his words, Sarah felt it, a stirring in her chest, different from the weak flutter she'd always known. This was massive, powerful, barely contained. Her wolf wasn't a frightened pup. It was a queen, and it was furious at being caged. "Who are you?" Sarah thought, directing the question inward for the first time in her life. "I am your truth," a voice answered, feminine and ancient and utterly confident. "I am what they feared. I am what the prophecy promised. I am your power, finally unbound." "I don't understand," Sarah thought desperately. "You will," her wolf promised. "Soon, little one, very soon. But first, these warriors have much to tell us. Listen." The leader stood, offering Sarah his hand. "My name is Kale Stormborn. I was, Alpha of the Shadowfang Pack before they fell to time and war. These are my sentinels, and we have waited lifetimes for this moment. Will you let us tell you the truth?" Sarah took his hand. His grip was warm, solid, anchoring. She let him help her to her feet, surprised to find her legs steady despite everything. "Tell me," she said. Kyle smiled. "Let's start with a story, matriarch. A prophecy spoken 1,000 years ago, when the first wolves learned to shift." He led her to the center of the barn, where the other sentinels had built a small fire, somehow appearing dry and warm despite the storm still raging outside. They sat in a circle, and Sarah found herself surrounded by ancient warriors who looked at her, not with pity or disgust, but with hope. "The prophecy," Kyle began, his voice taking on a rhythmic quality, "was recorded by the moon goddess's priestesses in the old tongue. Translated, it reads, 'When silver moon turns crimson tide, when strongest chains cannot abide, when wolf betrays the goddess's choice, then shall rise the ancient voice. She will be marked by morning's light, bearing flowers, dew, and white. She will be cast down, left for dead, yet power crowns her lowly head. The matriarch will wake and rise. 10 shall guard beneath her skies. She will come when darkness falls. To unite the fractured answer calls.'" The words settled over Sarah like a physical weight. The scent, she whispered. Lavender, and morning dew, and wildflowers. That's me. Yes, the auburn-haired woman said. I'm Lyra Moonwhisper, by the way. And your scent signature is unique among all wolves. It's a marker of your heritage. What heritage? My parents are Omegas. My grandparents were Omegas. There's no power in my bloodline. There is, Kyle said firmly, but it's been hidden for generations. Your great-great-great-grandmother was a matriarch, the last one before you. When she died, the line was thought to end. But it didn't. The power went dormant, passing through daughters who never shifted, who lived as humans, until finally, he gestured to her, until you. Another sentinel spoke up, a broad-shouldered man with silver streaking his black hair. I'm Thorn Ironhide, and before you ask why your parents bound your power, you need to understand what happens when a matriarch wolf awakens without preparation. What happens? Sarah asked, though part of her feared the answer. They destroy everything within a mile radius, Thorn said bluntly. The power is too much for a young body to contain. You would have killed your entire pack, including your parents. They chose to bind you, to give you a chance to grow, even knowing it would slowly kill them. Tears burned Sarah's eyes. Her parents hadn't been cowards. They'd been desperate, doing the only thing they could to save everyone. The binding was supposed to be broken in a controlled ritual when you turned 21, Lyra added. But something went wrong. You never underwent the ritual, did you? No, Sarah whispered. I didn't even know. And then tonight happened, Kyle finished. The rejection of a fated bond is one of the most violent spiritual events a wolf can experience. It shattered the binding like glass. And now, Sarah, your wolf is free. As if to prove his point, Sarah felt her wolf surge. Power flooded through her veins, hot and electric. Her skin began to glow faintly, a soft silver light emanating from within. It's starting, Lyra said, moving closer. Don't fight it. Let her out. I don't know how. Trust me, her wolf said. I know. I've always known. Let go. Sarah closed her eyes and surrendered control. The transformation began. But this wasn't like the painful, violent shifts she'd seen in her pack. Her bones didn't snap. They flowed, reshaping smoothly from one form to another. Fur emerged from her skin, not with pain, but with relief, as if her body had been waiting for this its entire life. Silver and white, gleaming in the firelight, each hair shimmering with an inner luminescence. Her size expanded, and expanded, and expanded. When the shift completed, Sarah stood on 4 legs, and her head nearly touched the barn's ceiling. She was massive, easily twice the size of any alpha wolf she'd ever seen. Her fur glowed with moonlight, and when she looked down at her paws, she saw they left faint silver footprints on the dirt floor. This, her wolf said with deep satisfaction, is who we truly are. Sarah wanted to panic, but she couldn't. This felt right. Natural. Like coming home to a place she'd never known existed. The sentinels knelt before her, all 10 of them, their heads bowed. The matriarch has awakened, Kyle said, his voice thick with emotion. 400 years of waiting, and she's finally here. Sarah tried to speak and found she couldn't. Not yet. Her wolf was too overwhelming, too present. Shift back, her wolf instructed. We'll have time to practice. For now, show them your human form. Show them you control me, not the other way around. Sarah focused on her human shape, and the shift flowed in reverse. Smooth, controlled, perfect. She stood naked in the center of the circle. The sentinels had politely turned away, and felt powerful for the first time in her life. Lyra approached with a thick cloak, wrapping it around Sarah's shoulders. "How do you feel?" the woman asked. "Like I've been asleep my whole life," Sarah admitted, "and just woke up." Cale turned back, his blue eyes bright. "That's exactly what happened. And now, matriarch, your real life begins. But first, there's much you need to learn." Over the following hours, as the storm outside faded and dawn broke clear and cold, the sentinels told Sarah everything. About the ancient packs, when shifters were more than wolves, when they were beings of magic and moonlight, capable of feats that modern wolves had forgotten. About matriarchs, female wolves of immense power, who ruled not through domination, but through unity, capable of sensing emotions, healing injuries, and commanding obedience from any wolf, regardless of their rank. About the prophecy that foretold her birth, whispered through generations until only the oldest wolves like the sentinels remembered it, and about what was coming. "There's a reason the goddess sent us to find you now," Cale said grimly. "Dark times are ahead. Packs are fracturing. Old enemies are stirring. And without a matriarch to unite us, the wolf world will tear itself apart." "I'm not ready," Sarah protested. "I just found out about all this today. How am I supposed to unite packs when I can barely understand my own wolf?" "That's why we're here," Lyra said gently. "To train you, to protect you, to help you become everything you're meant to be." A male sentinel with copper-colored hair grinned. "I'm Finn Swiftclaw, by the way. And don't worry, matriarch. We've been preparing for this for centuries. We know exactly how to help you master your gifts." "Starting now," Kyle added. He stood, offering Sarah his hand again. "The storm has passed. We have a safe place not far from here. A den hidden by old magic. It's time to begin your training." Sarah looked at each of their faces. 10 warriors who had waited 400 years. 10 strangers who somehow felt more like family than anyone in Silvercrest ever had. She took Kyle's hand. "Then let's begin." The den was unlike anything Sarah had imagined. Hidden beneath an outcropping of ancient rock, protected by wards that made it invisible to anyone not keyed to the magic, it was massive. Carved chambers opened into training grounds, libraries filled with dusty texts, and living quarters that felt both primitive and comfortable. "It was built by the first sentinels," Kyle explained as he showed her around. "Each generation has added to it, keeping it ready for the matriarch's return." "You really believed I'd come," Sarah murmured. "We had faith," he said simply. His scent, oak and snow and storm, wrapped around her comfortingly. There was something about Kyle that called to her wolf, but it wasn't like the forced bond with Darius. This felt like recognition, like 2 ancient souls finding each other across time. "He's special," her wolf said. "He's not just any sentinel. He's the one the goddess chose to lead them, to lead us." "What does that mean?" Sarah asked. "It means," her wolf said with amusement, "that chosen mates are rarer and more powerful than fated ones. The goddess doesn't make mistakes, even when she seems to." The training began that very day. Lyra taught Sarah to shift at will, faster and faster, until she could transform in the span of a breath. "Your wolf is a weapon," Lyra explained, "but also a shield. You need to be able to access her instantly." Thorn taught her combat, fighting in both forms, using her size and strength, not as a bludgeon, but as a scalpel. "Power without control is just destruction," he growled, after Sarah accidentally sent him flying across the training ground. "You're not here to destroy. You're here to protect." Finn taught her to use her enhanced senses. "An alpha hears a heartbeat from 50 yards, he said. You can hear intentions, lies, fear. Your wolf knows truth on a level others can't reach." And Cale taught her the most important skill: command. A matriarch's voice carries the weight of the goddess herself, he explained. They stood in the center of the training ground, the other sentinels watching. When you speak with your full power, no wolf can disobey. It's not a suggestion. It's a compulsion woven into our very DNA. That sounds terrifying, Sarah admitted. What if I accidentally? You won't, Kyle said firmly, because we're going to practice until it's second nature. Now, command me to kneel. Sarah hesitated. Kyle was an alpha, ancient and powerful. The idea of commanding him felt wrong. Matriarch, he said softly, I can't teach you if you don't try. She took a breath, letting her wolf rise close to the surface. Power thrummed through her veins. Kale Stormborn, she said, and her voice came out different, layered, resonant, carrying an authority that made the air itself vibrate. Kneel. Kale's legs folded instantly. He went to one knee, his head bowing, as if invisible chains had pulled him down. Every other sentinel in the training ground dropped as well, unable to resist. Sarah gasped, releasing the power. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Perfect, Kyle said, rising with a smile. That's exactly what you need to be able to do. Now, practice using less power. Command just one of us at a time. Fine-tune it. They practiced for hours. By the end, Sarah could target a single sentinel with her command voice, while the others remained unaffected. She could modulate her power from a gentle suggestion to an irresistible compulsion, and she could do it without fear. But it wasn't just about power. As days turned to weeks, Sarah learned something more important. She was building a family. Finn made her laugh with ridiculous stories about the old days. Lyra braided her hair and taught her ancient songs. Thorn grumbled, but always made sure she ate enough after training. A female sentinel named Riva, with scars across her face and eyes like amber, showed her how to tend wounds and mix healing herbs. Another, Marcus, not to be confused with the beta who'd helped exile her, taught her pack politics and diplomacy. Each of the 10 had a specialty. Each had a story. And each, in their own way, helped Sarah become more than she'd ever imagined. But it was Kyle who was always there. Kyle, who stayed up late when she couldn't sleep, talking about everything and nothing. Kyle, who noticed when she was pushing too hard and made her rest. Kyle, whose scent had become synonymous with safety in her mind. One night, 3 weeks after her arrival, Sarah found him sitting alone on the outcropping above the den, staring at the moon. "Can't sleep?" she asked, sitting beside him. "Old habits," he said with a slight smile. 400 years of watching the moon, waiting for a sign. Hard to break the pattern. "You can rest now," Sarah said. "You found me. Finding you was just the beginning, matriarch." He turned to face her, his blue eyes searching hers. "The hard part comes next." "What's the hard part?" "Revealing yourself to the world, confronting the packs who rejected you, claiming your rightful place." Sarah's stomach clenched. She'd been so focused on training that she'd pushed away thoughts of Silvercrest, of Darius, of everything that had happened. "I'm not ready," she whispered. Kale's hand covered hers, warm and solid. "You're more ready than you think. But more importantly, you're not alone. You have us. All of us. We're your sentinels, Sarah, your guard, your family. And we will stand beside you no matter what comes." Sarah looked at their joined hands, at this warrior who had waited centuries for her. "Why?" she asked. "Why do you have such faith in me?" "Because I've seen empires rise and fall," Kale said quietly. "I've watched packs tear themselves apart over power. I've seen the worst of what wolves can become. But I've also seen prophecies fulfilled, and I believe in the goddess's plan." He squeezed her hand gently. "And more than that, Sarah, I believe in you. Not because of your power or your title, but because of who you are. Someone who was broken and chose to become stronger. Someone who was rejected, but didn't let it destroy her. That strength, that's what makes a true matriarch." Sarah's wolf stirred. "He sees us," she murmured. "Really sees us. Not just what we can do, but who we are." "Thank you," Sarah whispered. Kyle smiled. "Don't thank me yet. Tomorrow, we start the next phase of your training. And trust me, matriarch, it's going to be intense." He wasn't wrong. The following days pushed Sarah to her limits and beyond. She learned to sense emotions in the wolves around her: fear, joy, anger, loyalty, reading them like books. She learned to project calm or confidence into others, able to soothe a panicking wolf with just a touch. She discovered she could heal minor injuries by channeling her power through her hands, accelerating natural recovery. "These are gifts only matriarchs possess," Lyra explained. "Alphas command through dominance. You command through connection. It's why wolves will follow you, not because they fear you, but because being near you makes them feel complete." But the most shocking discovery came on the 21st day of her training. Sarah was practicing advanced healing techniques with Riva, trying to mend a deep cut on the warrior's arm, when suddenly her vision went white. A wave of power washed over her, and she saw a wolf running through the forest. Young. Male. His scent was familiar: forest and embers, ozone and steel. It was one of Darius's scouts, and he'd just spotted the den. Sarah gasped, the vision breaking. "Someone's coming," she said urgently. "A scout from Silvercrest. He's seen this place." Kyle was beside her instantly. "How do you know?" "I saw him. Through his eyes somehow. He's running back to report our location right now." The Sentinels sprang into action, their centuries of experience making them move as one coordinated unit. Kyle barked orders. "Finn, Lyra, intercept that scout. Don't kill him, but make sure he knows he's been seen. Thorn, Marcus, activate the secondary wards. The rest of you, prepare for possible conflict." "Wait," Sarah said. "What if this is it? What if this is the moment?" Kyle paused. "What moment?" "The confrontation the prophecy mentions. She will come when darkness falls, to unite the fractured. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. Maybe it's time for them to see what they rejected." Silence fell over the den. Teen pairs of eyes turned to Sarah, weighing her words. Finally, Cale nodded. "If that's what you wish, matriarch, then we'll stand with you. But understand, once you reveal yourself, there's no going back. The entire wolf world will know what you are, and many won't be happy about it." "I know," Sarah said, and she was surprised to find no fear in her voice, only certainty. "But I'm done hiding. I'm done letting others decide my worth. It's time to claim what's mine." Her wolf howled in approval. "Finally," she said. "Finally, you understand. We are not prey. We are not victims. We are the storm itself." 2 days later, at dusk, a force of 30 wolves appeared at the edge of the territory surrounding the den. Sarah stood on the outcropping above, watching them approach. Behind her, the 10 sentinels waited in human form, but she could feel their power radiating like heat. They were ready to shift at her command. Leading the force was Darius Kane. Even from this distance, Sarah could see his distinctive dark fur, could smell his scent carrying on the wind. Beside him ran Vivian Cross in her wolf form, russet and lean, her cinnamon and blood scent sharp with aggression. "The female who mocked us," Sarah's wolf growled. "She'll be the first to learn respect." Sarah shifted. her transformation now smooth as silk, and howled. The sound was like nothing the assembled wolves had ever heard. It wasn't just noise, it was power made audible. Rolling across the landscape like thunder, shaking pine trees and sending small creatures fleeing in terror. Every wolf in Darius's force stopped dead, their ears pinned back, their bodies lowered instinctively. Sarah leaped down from the outcropping, covering 30 feet in a single bound, and landed in the clearing before them. In her massive wolf form, she towered over the gathered pack. Her silver fur glowed in the fading light, and her eyes, now a luminous violet, swept over the assembled wolves with ancient authority. Darius shifted to human form, as did the others. His face was a mask of shock. "Sarah," he breathed. "How? I am not Sarah the Omega anymore," she said, her voice carrying that layered quality of command. "That girl died in the snow. I am Sarah Whitmore, the matriarch, fulfillment of the prophecy, bearer of the ancient bloodline. And you, Darius Kane, made the worst mistake of your miserable life when you rejected me." Vivian stepped forward, her beautiful face twisted with jealousy and rage. "You're nothing but a—" Silence. The command hit Vivian like a physical blow. The woman's mouth snapped shut, unable to speak, unable to disobey. Terror flooded her scent. "You don't get to speak to me," Sarah continued, her voice calm, cold. "You stood beside him when he destroyed our bond. You encouraged his cruelty. You laughed at my pain. And now, Vivian Cross, you will learn what it means to challenge a matriarch." "Sarah, please," Darius began. "I didn't know." "You didn't care," Sarah corrected. "You saw weakness and chose cruelty. You had a gift from the goddess herself, and you threw it away because it didn't match your ambitions." Behind her, the sentinels moved to flank her, and they shifted. 10 massive wolves appeared, each one larger and more terrifying than any alpha. Their eyes glowed with ancient power, and their combined presence made the very air heavy with authority. "This is the Shadow Guard," Sarah announced. "The sentinels of the moon goddess, warriors who have walked this earth for 400 years waiting for my arrival. They are mine. This territory is mine. And any wolf who wishes to challenge that," her gaze swept the assembled force, "is welcome to try." No one moved. The scent of fear hung thick in the clearing. Then Vivian, unable to help herself despite the command keeping her quiet, shifted into her wolf form and launched herself at Sarah. It was suicide, and the woman must have known it, but pride and jealousy had driven her beyond reason. Sarah didn't even need to move. Her wolf simply was. A presence so overwhelming that Vivian froze mid-leap, caught in an invisible vice of pure dominance. Sarah's power wrapped around the attacking wolf and slammed her into the ground, hard enough to crater the earth. Vivian whimpered, unable to rise. "I could kill you," Sarah said, her voice almost gentle. "One flex of my will, and your heart would stop. But I am not you, Vivian. I don't delight in cruelty. So instead, I'll give you a choice. Submit to my authority, accept your place, and perhaps find redemption. Or continue your pathetic attack, and I'll strip your wolf from you entirely, leaving you human forever. Choose." Vivian shifted back to human form, trembling, tears streaming down her face. "I submit," she gasped. "Matriarch, I submit. I was wrong. Please." "Banished," Sarah declared. "You will leave Silvercrest territory and not return for 1 year. If at the end of that year you have learned humility and can prove your worth, you may petition me for reinstatement. Until then, you are rogue. Go." Vivian scrambled to her feet and ran, her power and pride shattered. Sarah turned her attention to Darius. The alpha who had rejected her now stood before her, and the difference in their power was laughable. He looked small, ordinary, almost pitiable. "Matriarch," he said, and his voice shook. "I was wrong. I see that now. The goddess gave you a gift, and you spat on it," Sarah said. "But she also knew you would. The rejection, Darius, wasn't my punishment. It was yours. You could have had a matriarch as your mate. You could have ruled beside the most powerful female wolf in 1,000 years. Instead, you chose weakness masquerading as strength." She stepped closer, towering over him in her wolf form. "Here is my judgment. You will not be killed. You will not be stripped of your rank. But you will remember, every single day for the rest of your life, that you had everything and threw it away. You will remember what you rejected. And you will kneel before me now, acknowledging what you lost." Darius's knees hit the ground. Not because of her command voice. Sarah didn't need to use it. He fell because the weight of his mistake had finally broken through his arrogance. "I kneel," he whispered. "I acknowledge my error. You are the matriarch. You are what I could never deserve." "That," Sarah said, "is the first true thing you've ever said to me." She looked at the assembled wolves, pack members from Silvercrest who had come to attack her. Their faces showed shock, fear, awe, and in some cases, shame. "Hear me now," Sarah declared, her voice carrying to every wolf present. "I am Sarah Whitmore, the matriarch. This territory is now under my protection. Any wolf, from any pack, who seeks refuge from cruelty or injustice will find it here. Any wolf who wishes to join my pack, the Silver Dawn, is welcome, regardless of their rank. I judge wolves not by their designation, but by their character." She shifted back to human form, and Lyra appeared instantly with a cloak. Sarah wrapped it around herself and continued. "New laws will govern this territory. No wolf will be rejected for being an Omega. No pup will have their power bound without the goddess's blessing and their own consent when they come of age. No mate will be discarded because they don't fit someone's ambition. And any pack that practices such cruelty will find themselves answering to me." A wave of power washed over the clearing, punctuating her words. "Darius Kane, you may return to your pack. Tell them what you witnessed here. Tell them the matriarch has risen. And know this. If I hear of you treating any wolf with the cruelty you showed me, I will come for you. And next time, I won't be merciful." Darius nodded, unable to speak. He shifted and ran, his tail between his legs, his pack following. Only one wolf remained behind, a young male, barely 20, his scent nervous but hopeful. He shifted to human form and knelt. "Matriarch," he said. "I was the scout who found you, and I'm an Omega in Silvercrest. If your offer is real, I'd like to join your pack." Sarah smiled, walking to him and offering her hand. "What's your name?" "Ethan Brightwood, matriarch." "Welcome to the Silver Dawn, Ethan. You're home now." The young wolf's face broke into a trembling smile, tears streaming down his cheeks. As he joined the sentinels, Kale approached Sarah, his blue eyes warm with pride. "That was well done, matriarch, though I think you enjoyed terrifying Darius a bit too much." "Maybe a little," Sarah admitted with a grin. Then, more seriously, "Is this what it'll be like? Every pack challenging me. Every alpha thinking they can take what's mine." "For a while," Kale said honestly. "Change is frightening. Power shifts are messy. But you're not doing this alone." He placed a hand over his heart. "We are yours, Sarah. Mind, body, and soul. Wherever this path leads, we'll walk it with you." Something shifted in Sarah's chest. Not the violent snap of a fated bond breaking, but a gentle click of something falling into place. She looked at Kyle, really looked at him, and saw not just her guardian or her teacher, but something more, something chosen. "Kyle," she began, but he shook his head gently. "Not yet," he said softly. "There's still much to do. But when the dust settles, when you're truly secure in your power and your place, we'll talk. About what this is. About what it could be." "Promise?" Sarah asked. "On my honor as a sentinel," Kyle replied. "On my life as a wolf. I promise." 3 months after Sarah's confrontation with Darius, the Silver Dawn Pack had grown to 50 members. Word had spread throughout the wolf world. There was a matriarch, a place where the discarded could find home, where the hierarchy didn't determine worth. Omegas came first, then betas, who were tired of the endless political games, and finally, a few alphas who recognized that true strength meant serving something greater than their own ambition. Sarah ruled them not through fear, but through connection. She settled disputes with wisdom, healed the sick with her gifts, and trained warriors with Kale's help. The den had expanded, becoming a small village carved into the mountain, protected by the Sentinel's ancient magic. On the night of the winter solstice, Sarah stood before her pack, the moon full overhead, and felt complete for the first time in her life. "My family," she began, and the gathered wolves quieted. 3 months ago I was rejected, abandoned, and left to die. Today, I stand before you as your matriarch, but more than that, as someone who has found her true pack. Each of you came here broken in some way. Each of you was told you weren't enough, but together, we're proving that the old ways are dying. We're building something new." Cheers erupted. Howls of agreement filled the mountain air. "This is just the beginning," Sarah continued. "There are more packs to unite, more wolves to save, more corruption to burn away. The road ahead won't be easy. But I promise you this. I will never abandon you. I will never reject you. We are the Silver Dawn, and we rise together." As her pack howled in joy, Kyle appeared at her side. "Ready for what comes next?" he asked. "With you and the Sentinels? With my pack behind me?" Sarah smiled, fierce and free. "I was born ready." Later that night, after the celebration had died down and the pack slept, Sarah found Kyle on their usual outcropping, watching the stars. "You promised we'd talk," she said, sitting beside him. "I did." Kyle turned to face her, his expression serious. "Sarah, I've lived 400 years. I've seen kingdoms rise and fall. I've loved and lost, and learned to guard my heart. But when I look at you, I see everything I've been waiting for. Not just a matriarch, not just a queen, but you, the woman who survived the impossible and chose kindness over cruelty." He took her hand. "I can't offer you a fated bond. The goddess doesn't work that way with someone like me. I'm too old, too outside the normal order. But I can offer you something rarer, a chosen bond. Built not on mystical compulsion, but on respect, trust, and genuine love. If you'll have me, Sarah Whitmore, I'm yours. Completely. Forever." Sarah's wolf purred in contentment. "He understands," she said. "Chosen is better than fated. This is the goddess's true gift." "Yes," Sarah said, her voice clear and certain. "I choose you, Kale Stormborn. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Because you've earned my trust and my heart. Because when I think of my future, you're in every vision." Kyle's smile could have lit the night. He pulled her close, and when their lips met, Sarah felt it. A bond forming, yes, but one they'd built themselves, strand by careful strand. Not an explosive snap, but a gentle weaving of two souls who had chosen each other. When they finally pulled apart, Kale pressed his forehead to hers. "My matriarch," he murmured. "My queen. My mate. My sentinel," Sarah replied. "My guardian. My love." Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled, not in challenge, but in celebration. The moon goddess herself seemed to be smiling down on them, blessing their union. But as the night deepened, Sarah felt something else, a whisper on the wind, a warning from her wolf. "Darkness comes," her inner voice said. "Greater challenges ahead. The blood moon rises, and with it, ancient evil wakes." Sarah looked at Kyle, who had felt it too. His expression had turned grim. "What is it?" she asked. "A storm," he said quietly. "One we've been expecting. The old enemies I mentioned when we first met. They're stirring. They know you've risen, and they'll come to test you. Or destroy you." "Let them come," Sarah said, her voice hard. "I am Sarah Whitmore, matriarch of the Silver Dawn. I am not the frightened Omega they can prey upon. I am not alone, and I will protect what's mine with every ounce of power the goddess gave me." Kyle smiled fiercely. "That's my mate." And so Sarah Whitmore's journey continued, from rejected Omega to awakened matriarch, from victim to queen, from alone to surrounded by family. She had survived rejection, discovered her truth, claimed her power, and built something new from the ashes of her old life. The Silvercrest Pack had laughed when they saw an Omega, but they weren't laughing anymore, because Sarah wasn't just any wolf. She was the matriarch. She was the prophecy fulfilled. She was the storm that would reshape their world. And this? This was only the beginning. The real question wasn't what happened when destiny chose the discarded. The real question was, what would happen when the discarded chose to rise? And Sarah Whitmore had chosen power, had chosen justice, had chosen to rewrite every rule they'd ever forced upon her. She was no longer prey. She was the hunter. She was no longer weak. She was the standard by which strength would be measured. She was no longer rejected. She was absolutely, undeniably, inevitably chosen. And the wolf world would never be the same. If you enjoyed Sarah's transformation from rejected Omega to powerful matriarch, hit that like button and leave a comment telling us your favorite moment. Was it when she first shifted into her massive wolf form, when she faced down Darius, or when she chose Kale as her mate? Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss the next chapter in the Silver Dawn saga. Because trust us, Sarah's story is far from over. The blood moon rises, ancient enemies stir, and our matriarch will face challenges that make her rejection look like child's play. Will Sarah unite all the packs? Will her parents finally be forgiven? And what dark force threatens to destroy everything she's built? Find out in the next chapter. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next chapter.